Welcome to This Week in High School Sports. I'm Teresa Whipple, and we're back for another exciting week. Steve?
We sure are. We've got a lot of sports to talk about this week.
Yes, we do. And as always, we want to mention our sponsor, Red Onion Burgers, and I found out from you, because you talked to Sean Richards, the owner, that they have a new menu.
New menu, a new online ordering system.
Right.
They're stepping up their game a little bit.
They
over there, Red
are,
Onion.
because, you know, these items that you were talking about are not your traditional burgers. They are things like, get this, chicken fettuccine, pot roast with garlic mashed potatoes, shepherd's pie, red beans and rice with garlic chicken. So my gosh, that sounds gourmet to me.
It's no longer just burgers, right?
That's right.
And not that it was before, but certainly they're even adding more to the menu. So
Yeah.
just about everyone in the family can eat there now. You
That's
can find
right.
whatever you need.
That's right. And the online ordering is right there at the top of the website, so you can't miss it, and that's very convenient. So thanks to Sean again for sponsoring our show. And they are located, we had this discussion about address. I said the 21000 block of 44th, and actually 212th is probably a better landmark for you, but the truth is they are down a little ways north on 44th, off of 44th, just past 212th.
Yeah, right off 44th, and quite a bit going on in that little shopping area
Yeah,
right there. But
yeah.
they're there, we promise. But you do
Just
have
to be clear, so you know where they are.
210 block, yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to move from food to soccer.
Yeah, girls soccer going on this week. Edmonds Woodway, another tie. We talked about that last
Yeah.
week too. They tied Getchell this week on Tuesday. However, they defeated Lynnwood 2-0 later on in the week. So right now, Edmonds Woodway, 3 wins, 0 losses, and 3 ties in league play. Lynnwood also picking up a victory this past week. They defeated Everett 2-0, or 2-0 as they like to say in soccer. So they're now 3-2-1 in league play. Meadowdale, we've got a picture here of, I guess it's Isabel Gibson in the foreground, and then we've got Ashley Carlson in the background as Meadowdale defeats Oak Harbor 2-0 or 2-0 this past week. And then we're gonna put up a picture of the Meadowdale versus Mentlake Terrace match, and that is Meadowdale wearing the pink uniforms, and no doubt for breast cancer awareness.
Yeah.
But the picture there is of Maddie Powers from Mentlake Terrace with a header. And that game ended in a 1-1 tie. So not a bad week for any of the 4 schools in the district. And they're continuing their season this coming week.
Okay, very good. And what about tennis? That's going on.
Yep, boys tennis still taking place. We had Jeremy and Adam in here last week
Yes,
from
we
Mentlake
did.
Terrace. The big Shorecrest tennis match that they were talking about didn't go quite as well as they'd planned, as Shorecrest defeats them. But Mentlake Terrace still nonetheless. They defeated Lynnwood this past week. They also defeated Arlington. They're now 5-2 in league play, 8-2 overall. So the Hawks continuing to have a nice season. And Edmonds Woodway picking up a 6-1 victory over Meadowdale this past week.
Good, okay. And once again, we were at the stadium for football, and we have some things to talk about there.
Yeah, first we'll get to a game that took place away from Edmonds Stadium,
Right.
over at Shoreline Stadium. Mentlake Terrace defeating Shorecrest 18-0. Don't have to use the nil term anymore. We're not talking about soccer, but 18.
And we don't have to talk about ties either.
No ties, and but they did get a shutout. Yeah, they play overtime in high school football,
Right.
so they did get a shutout. We have a picture, as a matter of fact, Jabray Richardson sacking the Shorecrest quarterback. That's Braden Victor, and Mentlake Terrace forcing 7 turnovers in that game. The defense had a safety as well. Interceptions from Brandon Bach, Keegan Grayson, Danny Smart. And their quarterback for the Hawks, Andrew Blair, rushing for 2 touchdowns on his own, and the Hawks picking up their 2nd victory of the season. The big game of the night, though, was the 5 o'clock game on Friday night, Edmonds Woodway versus Lynnwood, 2 teams that were undefeated in league play, and this game didn't disappoint. It was finally a close game for us.
I know, we were complaining that we weren't, and finally we got one.
We had nothing but blowouts so far
Yeah.
this season at Edmonds Stadium. That changed at 5 o'clock on Friday. Lynnwood jumps out to a 12-3 halftime lead. They're ahead 18-10 at the end of the 3rd quarter, and we're thinking, okay, Lynnwood's probably about to go undefeated on the season. Edmonds Woodway comes back. Capasio Cherry, who we had in studio last week, he scores 2 touchdowns, also got a 2-point conversion out of Edmonds Woodway, so they tied the game. Costa Cooper gets an interception late and sets up a field goal by Jackson Carr. He kicked 2 field goals in the game. And Edmonds Woodway, who we've got a picture here of Tyler McClendon and Jamie Murphy tackling Alton Hammond during the course of the night. Edmonds Woodway wearing the road white uniforms. They come up with a 21-18 victory. So Warriors team that had 2 losses to start the season, both non-league play, Once they've started league play, however, they're catching fire, and they've won 3 in a row, and the Warriors doing really well right now.
Yeah.
And then the other game, the 8 o'clock game, not so close. This was Meadowdale's homecoming game, 42-0 at halftime. The Mavericks jumping all over Shorewood. Drew Tingstead, who we've got a picture right here, the quarterback, he ran for a touchdown, put his Maverick team on the board first with a running touchdown, and then he proceeded to throw 3 touchdowns all in the first half. Again, they went into the halftime with a 42-0 lead, played very conservative in the second half, so that was the final score as well. Meadowdale also now undefeated in league play, so there's only 2 undefeated teams in the entire conference, or the entire South Division, and they both hail from the Edmonds School District. So Warriors and Mavericks, congratulations to them. And we're not done talking about the Mavericks just yet. We not only brought in one of the football players from the Maverick football team, who happened to be the homecoming king this past week, we brought the homecoming queen in also, who is also an athlete during the fall and other parts of the season. Zach Plummer, who is on the football team, also does basketball and track and field. He came into the studio along with Brooke Hoppe, who does cross country and track. And we talked to them not only about their sports, but also about everything that went into homecoming week, as well as an impressive resume for both of these two, as they're both very active, not only on the court and on the field, but also in their schoolwork and throughout various other activities at the school. So here's that interview. Homecoming week just wrapped up at Meadowdale High School, and with us right now, the homecoming queen and king, Brooke Hoppe and Zach Plummer, both of which just got done participating in their royalty events over the weekend, both as the football game, in which they were part of the ceremony at halftime, and also the homecoming dance on Saturday night. Zach, by the way, was a little busy Friday night as well, participating in the 42-0 victory over Shorewood. First of all, both of you, congratulations. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
And Brooke, I'll start with you. Homecoming experience, what was that like for you this past week? Thursday, you found out you were the queen.
Yeah, it's a huge honor, a huge surprise. It's amazing to represent such a great class and just be involved in such a spirited atmosphere.
Now, I had a chance to run into your dad upstairs at the game, and he mentioned that you really, truly were surprised. He says you kind of think that you fly under the radar, but certainly to be nominated alone is quite the honor, and then you get the Queen Award. That had to be really something special.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised just to find out I was a princess, and on Thursday at the assembly, they just started calling off princesses one by one, and I was the last one left, and I kind of looked at him, and I was like, I guess
kind of
I'm
a giveaway.
queen. Yeah, it was a big honor.
Very nice. And now, Zach, you mentioned you were on royalty, I guess, your freshman year too, right? You found out you were nominated, and much like Brooke, Thursday at the assembly, you find out you're the king.
Yeah, they just start listing them off, and I walk over to Brooke when she was the last one, and I go, congratulations. And then I think me and Liam Ball, who's a very good wrestler at Meadowdale, we were still there, and then they called his name, and so I was just the one left, and me and Brooke went out.
And one of the things they get to do is, we mentioned at halftime you're part of the ceremony, and we've got a picture of the two of you here. Zach, you obviously are wearing your football uniform. It was halftime of the game, and I guess I'll start with you. It's a little bit easier for you to come out of the locker room when your team is ahead 42-0 at halftime. It might have been a different scenario if it was a close game, but certainly maybe it took a little of the pressure off and enabled you to enjoy that ceremony a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I talked with Coach Leonard going up through the week, are we going to go out because all of the royalty is supposed to go out? And there was me, Bryce, Quentin, and Christian, who's a sophomore, who were all on royalty. And I was like, I'm okay with not going out if it's a tight game. We need to make adjustments or whatnot. And then it happened to be 42-0, and he said, I think you're good. You can go out.
And Brooke, for you, what's that halftime ceremony like? It's got to be a pretty special moment.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. It was such a great game to be, cheering on the sidelines for and just spirited and involved. And so it was nice to be out there and, celebrate with everyone.
Now, it's not just the two of you that go out there. We've got a picture here. Brooke, we'll start with you. Mom and Dad get to go out there too. Who are these two people in this picture?
It's my mom, Penny, and Dad, Steve. And I think it was great. It was great to have them out there with me, and definitely proud moment.
Yeah, and what did it mean to them? I have to think they were pretty excited to be out there with you.
Yeah, it was nice for them. They shared it with all the family and friends too, and really happy for me.
Definitely. Now, Zach, we've got a picture of you as well. There's you and I believe it's your mom, right?
Yes, my mother Nancy. She also came out freshman year with me. She tends to get a little sentimental, so there's
As
a
moms
little
do
bit
sometimes,
a
sure.
little tears coming up in the assembly and going out at half. So I think that really meant a lot to her. My dad was up in the stands taking some pictures.
Very nice. And the dance Friday night was a great occasion too. Did you guys have a lot of fun?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Go ahead.
Okay. Just a lot of pictures. We had a really nice dinner. I had a lot of fun with my group, and then we kind of split off into our separate ways. I went and got dessert with my date, and it was just a really fun night.
When you're out on a date for homecoming and you're the homecoming king, do you get to wear the crown while you're out having dessert, or does that come off at that point?
I'm sure I could put it on, but I did not.
She might have
during that.
appreciated that too, right?
Yeah.
Now, what about you, Brooke? What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it's definitely a ton of fun. I got to go in a group of some really close friends, and it was great just to spend time with them, hang out. Tons of fun for pictures before, getting ready and hanging out, and then after, went back over to a friend's house and just kind of, hung out, watched movies, and it was a lot of fun.
And it was a big week in general, right? I mean, 3 assemblies. Did I get that right? Is that?
Yes, yeah. We have our coronation assembly first, which was on a Thursday. Usually, or I guess in the past, we've had them all on one Friday, but we had a half day that Friday. So the coronation was, at like 8:45 in the morning on the Thursday, and then after that we had our spirit assembly, where each class has their own skit and dance, filled with just people around. And there's, they perform in the gym in front of the entire school with all the posters that they've made to decorate the areas that they were designated, all throughout the day. And then on Friday we have our pep assembly, getting ready for the football game that night.
Sounds like you guys aren't in class much though over the last few days. It's going to be kind of nice too. It's a big bonus for the students. Hey, let's talk a little bit about spring sports for both of you. Zach, we'll start with you. We've got a picture here. I remember that game because I broadcasted it, and I remember that because we also brought you up after the game. You were the player of the game against Mount Lake Terrace. 3 touchdowns in that game.
Yeah.
Not a bad showing for you. How much fun are you having this season with the undefeated in league play Meadowdale Mavericks?
Yeah, no, it's a ton of fun. Just hanging out with the guys and also having a lot of success on the field. We lost that first game to Monroe, which was, they're a very good football team, but we've managed to rally after that. And I think we've been playing really well, and we're looking forward to Lynnwood and Woodway coming up in the future. Yeah,
really big games. 4 straight wins for the Mavericks since that opening night loss, and they're playing very well. Brooke, now you're doing cross country this time of year, and I understand you guys had a pretty nice trip down to Portland last week.
Yeah, we did. We got to go down to Nike Portland Invitational. It was a huge meet, probably 4,000 runners there, and so it's just a really cool atmosphere and tons of runners, tons of people.
And you mentioned to me before we started filming, you met a special group of people down there.
Yeah, we did. We got to meet and take pictures with the McFarland team. They're down there, the original runners, and then their kids and relatives were down there too. So that was really cool.
And remind folks who the McFarland group is.
Yeah, they're a group of migrant workers turned cross country runners that are fantastic out of California.
Very nice. So it was a nice experience indeed. You guys don't just participate in fall sports. You're both busy throughout the season or throughout the school year too. I know you're both doing track and field in the spring, which we'll get to in a second. But also, Zach, you're a basketball player.
In the winter.
And
basketball.
how are you feeling about the team this year?
I think it's gonna be very exciting. I think we're gonna do pretty well. Our head coach actually just got a job in building, so that'll be very fun to have him in building. We get to practice at 2 now instead of 5, so that's a plus.
One of the perks for Coach O'Neill getting hired then.
Yes.
Very nice. And then you both do track and field. Which events are you participating in, Brooke?
Mainly the 800 and the mile. So yeah.
Okay, a little
Distance
spread
mainly.
out distances there.
Yeah.
And one's a little bit shorter than the other. And Zach, what about you?
I actually used to do the 800 and the mile, but this past year I wanted to try to bulk up for football a little bit. So I tried a bunch of different stuff. I was going to try to do decathlon, so I was having a lot of fun with pole vault, javelin, disc, long jump, high jump. I usually break the bar in high jump and hurt myself. But
Well, now you don't have to bulk up for football after the
That's
senior
true,
season. So
yeah.
does that mean you're going to go back to the running events possibly?
oh, we'll see.
Yeah?
We'll see what I'm going to do there. I think I want to try decathlon. They have a meet at the end of the year, which I was not able to get into this year, but I think that'd be a really cool experience, so I might try to do that.
Very nice. Now, and I'm looking at your credentials here. You both are very heavily involved in clubs at school. Why don't we go ahead and start with you, Brooke? I know National Honor Society. You're a link crew coordinator, math club. Anything else am I missing there? You're keeping pretty busy.
Yeah, I like to keep occupied and keep involved in the community. I mean, Meadowdale is such a hardworking and involved group, and so there's so many opportunities I love to be a part of.
And it says here you volunteer in the Environmental Conservation Student Association. What exactly are you doing there?
Yeah, so that's actually a really cool opportunity. It's a bunch of building trails in local parks, so Yost Park, City Park. We'll kind of go pull out invasive species, so blackberries and ivy, and then build new trails and repair and stuff. And so,
Okay. And at some point you find time to sleep. Is that how you were doing
yeah,
it? Okay.
sometimes.
Interesting. And now Zach, many of the same clubs, quite frankly. So let me hear what you're active in.
I am in National Honor Society, and I'm also a Link Crew coordinator, and I am in Math Club, and last year I did Computer Science Club. We'll see if we have that this year. I might try it. It's kind of hard to make some of those with practice right after school and whatnot, but I try to go as much as I can. And like Brooke, I like to try to be involved in school and learn more about things that I'm interested in. So I think that clubs and activities like that are a very good way to do that.
So two young people keeping very active in school, and you're both taking AP courses. So I've got to think college maybe on the horizon. You're both seniors this year.
Yeah.
Brooke, where are you looking to maybe go in the future?
Yeah, it's a tough decision right now. Kind of in a toss up between McAllister and Tufts, but a lot of other great schools out there too. So it's kind of decision-making time.
So maybe some of your Midwest ties. You mentioned you have family back there, so you might be heading east a little bit.
My dad grew up in the Midwest, and so there's a bunch of family back there. And then my sister's out in college in Boston, so either place there'd be some close family there, which would be a really great plus.
Sure. And what about you, Zach? Have you given it much thought yet?
I try to work that around the sports schedule and academics already. I have always been a big UW fan, so that's obviously on the radar. I think that'd be very cool. Very excited in their football team right now. Also, my sister goes to USC, which is a really cool school, so I think I might try to apply there too. I took a vacation this summer to go see my grandparents in North Carolina, and we visited North Carolina and Duke, which are both very cool places. So if I could go to one of those, that would also be cool, so I guess we'll see.
So great schools from both of these two, but first of all, they get to finish their senior year. What a pleasure to talk to both of you, and congratulations again on the homecoming king and queen, and sounds like it was a phenomenal week, and we wish you nothing but the best in the future. Zach, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Brooke, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And we will continue to talk Maverick sports, and we'll be talking about these two also in future episodes of This Week in High School Sports.
Great interview with Zach and Brooke, and Zach, his sister was an intern for us for My Edmonds News for a couple of summers, and she actually started writing a column for me in high school, and she always talked about her little brother, and at the time, of course, he was just a little guy, and it's really fun to see him all grown up and so accomplished in his own right.
Sister Caitlin, and Zach not so little anymore, but two very impressive athletes.
And close brother and sister too. I mean, I think they were, I don't know if they always got along, but they both seemed to like each other, which isn't always the case with brothers and sisters.
Having had a younger sibling, we get along great now, but not always the case when you're younger, but you never know.
Yeah, so, okay, well, tell us about cross-country runners. What are they up to?
Yeah, we had a bunch of them running this week. The Nike 10th Annual Twilight Cross Country Invitational. Got that entire thing out of my mouth, easy enough. That took place on Saturday up in Marysville. And Edmonds Woodway girls finishing 4th overall, boys finishing 11th. A lot of teams up there, too, so that's quite the accomplishment. On the boys' side of things, Matthew Park finished in 4th place overall. It's a 5,000-meter course. He had a time of 15:42. Sam McLuhan, also of Edmonds Woodway, finished 8th. On the girls' side of things, Malia Pivic from Lynnwood, she took 5th overall. And also from the other girls, from two Edmonds Woodway runners, Stephanie Roblewski was 14th, and Olivia Meader-Yetter was 15th. And before I let this one slide too, we just mentioned Malia. We should probably also throw out there that sat with Malia and her parents at the Snohomish County Hall of Fame induction ceremony on Wednesday night, where Malia's older sister, Michaela, formerly of Lynnwood High School, was inducted as both received the Woman of the Year award in sports and also the Kirsty Bartz Memorial Class of 2016 Girls Athlete of the Year for high school athletes. So Michaela, not able to attend the event. She's down at Oregon State going to school right now, but her family was there to accept on her behalf, and it was a real nice evening. And Michaela Pivic still collecting hardware even after she's gone. So it's even after she's down in Oregon, she's still picking up awards from high school.
Yeah, speaking of an athletic family, my gosh.
Yeah, they do okay.
Yeah.
And then Mount Lake Terrace runners, they were down at Stanford this past weekend, down in Northern California at the Stanford Invitational meet. This is run on the golf course at Stanford. Mm-hmm. And the girls placed 7th out of 19, boys were 9th out of 20. And these are some of the elite programs from the entire West Coast.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, that's a huge deal for them. And the girls, Catherine Gustafson finished 14th overall. We had a chance to meet Catherine here about a month ago. Sophia Nelson was 23rd in that particular event. And then on the boys' side, we had Braden Sims, who finished in 19th, and Nick Ladick finished in 24th. So a nice job by the Hawks down in California.
Great, that's great. And what's happening with volleyball?
A little bit of everything. Everybody getting at least one victory this past week, so that was nice. Meadowdale picked up a win over Marysville-Pilchuck on Thursday night. They ran their record to 3-2 overall in league play. Edmonds Woodway picking up a really exciting victory over Mount Lake Terrace. This was a match that went 5 sets. It took place, I believe, on Tuesday. And Edmonds Woodway winning the first set 25-22, and that ended up being the biggest discrepancy in the entire night as far as the set was concerned. Each set came right down to the final points. Edmonds Woodway finally pulling out the 5th set 15-13. So it could have gone either way, and it was very exciting, and congratulations to the Warriors. Mount Lake Terrace did pick up a victory later on in the week. They swept Shorewood on Thursday, so they also picking up another win. And then it's the Lynnwood Royals, a team that came very close to winning the division last year. They were 10-2 in league play. Had a little bit of a stumble in the district play, didn't make it to the state tournament. They've come back this year very strong. They look like they could contend. Got off to a slow start. They lost their first 3 matches of the year. They've since won 3 in a row and are catching fire at just the right time as we're right in the middle of league play. So we brought in 2 of their players tonight to talk a little bit about their season, not only what's been going on in 2016, but also the 2015 season and where they're heading. So here we have Sabrina and Kaprice joining us in studio. The Lynnwood Royals volleyball team has 3 wins in a row going right now, playing very well. And with us right now, 2 of the members of that team, Kaprice Boston and Sabrina DeJesus. Thank you for coming in tonight, and just get right into it. You lost your first 3 matches of the year. You've come back. You've won your last 3. Kaprice, what's the biggest difference between those first 3 matches versus now?
I think mentally we were like really cocky at the very beginning. We thought we were gonna go in and like just beat everybody, and that didn't happen. And so I think during practice, the captains came together and were like, guys, we need to focus. We need to get things done. And so we practiced a lot harder, and it worked. We came back stronger.
And we should point out 2 of those matches were non-conference, so they really didn't hurt you in the standings. I guess in some sort of way, it's maybe to your benefit to get that cockiness out of the way early and to find out what you need to kind of motivate yourselves going into the season. And now you're 3-1 officially, so that has to help too, right?
Oh, yes, it did.
And now, Sabrina, I understand there's we should point out you went 10-2 as a team last year in league play. You had a really good season, and then unfortunately, district playoffs didn't go quite the way you wanted. I'm told now there's something called Operation GTDC. What on earth is that?
So we say it like before every game. We're always like Operation GTDC, and it's get to the district championship. Last year we said GT.
GTS.
Yeah.
So get to
it's
state? Was that
yeah,
what it was?
Get to
Okay.
state, and so we were like, oh, that's just a big high standard. Let's dim it down a bit, and like let's just go to district champs.
And how much motivation has losing in districts been for this team this year? I mean, is it something that you've talked about all off-season? Is it really a main motivator for you
We're
right now?
still really mad about it. We still talk about it, but I think a lot of us seniors want it really bad because it's like our last year playing volleyball together. Like Kaprice is going to Arizona, so I mean I'm staying here, so it's like really hard, and like it's our last season, and but like the juniors, I feel like they're like, oh, it's not as important as to us, but
It's
like
a big senior thing
a
there
big
right now.
senior thing.
Sure. Is this something where you write it in the locker room? Is it written on tape? What is it?
Before our games and practices, we have a whiteboard that we write goals on, and so Operation GTDC is always on there.
There you go. Okay, so if you see that at one of the matches, you'll know what's going on there. Yeah, and again, big year last year. How much fun has it been to play on this varsity team over the last 2 years? I know, Sabrina, you've been on the team now. This is your 2nd year. Kaprice, your 3rd year. Is it a fun group? Is it a group that really enjoys being around one another? What's it like?
It is very, it's very awesome and intense. There's, so many emotions that go into it, but we're a really close group, so it makes everything just 10 times better when you're really close. Everything's
Yeah.
fun.
Definitely.
agree.
Now, and Sabrina, I'll ask you first. Now, I know when you're not playing for the Lynnwood Royals team, you play for the Washington Volleyball Academy team. Is that right?
Yep, I do. tryouts are like in December or whatever. I think I don't really remember, but it was my first year. I'd never played club before, so I was really scared going into it. But then like my coach, her name was Deanna. She was really nice. She was really like explained there's different rules in high school and club, so I didn't know most of the rules either. So I was really scared. But I was the starting libero. I went in and I met a great group of girls from like different places, like Whidbey and the academy center is in Everett. So like people were coming so far away. It's a big place. It's awesome.
And playing on a club team, do you find that has helped your game?
Oh yeah, I improved so much. Like they say always look at your platform, which is like when you go like this, so you have to watch the ball hit your head. I didn't used to do that, and like now I do it all the time. And like even Annalise, our varsity coach, she's always like, you improved so much.
Very
it's
good.
really good. So.
Now, you mentioned the position libero a minute ago. A lot of folks, if they're casual volleyball fans or if they're not volleyball fans at all, they don't know what a libero is. Why don't you go ahead and explain that particular position? I'll say this, it's the one position that doesn't wear the same color uniform as the rest of the team, kind of like a goalie almost.
Yes, kind of. So a libero is known as the best passer in the team. So they wear a different colored jersey, and they only wear a different colored jersey because they switch out with the middles, and so the scorekeepers have to keep track of that. So it's like better for them, like for them's sake. Like I could wear a different jersey and it wouldn't matter, but so every time I switch out, they have to mark it down. So it's like I wear a different color so they know who I am, and like I don't have to sub. So it's nice.
So when you have friends that go to the games and aren't used to going to volleyball matches, do they look out onto the court and think, why is Sabrina not wearing the same color uniform as everybody
after
else?
the games, they always ask me like, oh, why are you wearing a different color? Why does that make you special? Like I'm like, yeah, well, kind of, yes, but and then
That's a good answer.
I have to like explain everything to them, and then I don't usually bring new friends to the game because I have to explain it over and over
Makes
again.
sense. Now, Kaprice, you're not playing on a volleyball club team because you're a little bit busy with another sport.
Yes.
Kaprice is a member of the Lynnwood Royals basketball team. I should point out they won the state championship a year and a half ago, your sophomore year, and then your junior year, you made it to the semifinals, and your team was ranked in the top 20 in the nation for quite a long time. So is volleyball a sport that kind of complements basketball in a lot of ways? Do you find that the sport helps you with some of your basketball playing as well?
Oh yes, most definitely. With volleyball, it's a lot of footwork, and you're jumping constantly. And jumping is always a great thing to do during basketball. When you need to get a rebound, you got to jump high. And footwork is the biggest part of basketball, I think, because if you don't use your feet right, you'll travel and you'll turn it over. So.
Definitely. And we should mention basketball, it seems to be taking you where you're going next. You've already committed to playing at Northern Arizona next year. What went into that decision? I mean, what brought that about?
Well, their coaches loved me, and they said they wanted to build the program around me, so I thought, why not take up this opportunity and go down there and help rebuild a program. So that was one of my biggest decisions on going down there.
And we should mention, too, Lynnwood only losing 2 players off their basketball team from last year, although they were 2 Division I superstar players in Michaela Pivick and Jordan Edwards. But certainly a good basketball team coming back this year, too, I would think.
Oh, yes, most definitely. We have a really close group that's coming back, and we have like 6 seniors, I think. So we're going to be pretty good, I think.
And not only basketball, but you're from a basketball family. I think
yes.
a lot of names that people would know in this area, certainly Uncle Bryant played at the University of Washington.
Yeah.
Another Uncle Jason Hamilton also playing there, and is now working for the broadcast team there. Dad playing around here, too. Talk about Dad's career a
Oh,
little
gosh.
bit.
Okay, my dad, he went to Garfield.
And we should mention his dad's name, too.
Gerald Boston.
Okay.
And he was a standout player. He was a point guard, and he led their team to, like, I don't even remember the number. They did not lose very many games. I think they only lost, like, 4 or 5 maybe games his whole entire high school career. And he was going to go play in college. He played at OIT, Oregon Institute of Technology, down in Oregon where he met my mom.
Okay. Well, so that worked out well for him then, and for you.
Oh, yes.
Very nice. And you're not the only Boston at the school either, I should point out. We've got a few of you now there, right?
Yes, Gerald Boston Jr. is a sophomore. He's my brother. And Nakia Boston is a freshman.
And both of them athletes as well?
Yes, they both play basketball. Hopefully my sister will get to play with me this year.
Oh, that could be a cool experience then. And we were talking off air. You don't have any siblings at the school, but you've got a brother who's playing soccer in elementary school. He
Yeah.
might be the next DeJesus that stars on the field, huh?
Soccer's a big thing in my family. When I stopped playing, they were kind of upset. But, I mean, he's really good. He practices, like, every day. His name is Michael. But, yeah, my parents push him to be, like, a good person that like goes and practice every day. I mean, he doesn't want to because he's only 11. But yeah, my mom was like, you gotta go practice. You gotta go practice.
So we can save this video maybe in 6 or 7 years if he's starting on the
Yes.
Royal soccer team. We can play this back and
Yes.
see how it turns out for him. Now, I know you're both very active in other things at the school as well. Sabrina, you're involved in DECA, is that correct?
Yes. So I'm the vice president of DECA and the store manager. The retail store is a class, so it's combined with DECA. That's how we get our money. I do a lot of fundraising and volunteering with DECA. It's really nice, and since I'm vice president, I do a lot of paperwork, which also gets me ready for like the real world and like double major in marketing. So, I mean, it's really nice.
Keeping busy then, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Kaprice, what are you doing when you're not playing volleyball or basketball?
I'm usually doing homework and trying to catch up on sleep. There's not very many times that I'm not playing a sport.
Yeah, and we should mention too, and I didn't know this about you until tonight, you were a black belt in Taekwondo in the 4th grade. Is that right?
Yes.
What I mean, I don't want to mess with you right now, and I'm sure Sabrina, you make sure you're nice to her on the volleyball court, by the way.
Of course.
Still doing any of that, or do you?
I stopped, I think, in 6th grade because playing club basketball is a lot. You're constantly training. And then with Taekwondo, you have to be there every day. And Taekwondo practices are like 6 hours long. So it's a lot.
Now, I should ask a similar question to what I asked about volleyball earlier. Do you find any of the Taekwondo skills have helped you in other sports?
Yes, we did a lot of push-ups. And like I had to do 100 push-ups in like 2 minutes once. That was crazy. So strength-wise, yes. And footwork again.
Sure. And I'm not going to let this one get away too before we end the interview. I guess Sabrina has a nickname, is that right?
Yes, she is my shrimpy because
Okay.
she's tiny.
And you seemed that we were laughing about it beforehand, so I should let everybody know you're not offended by the nickname. You enjoy it, right?
I'm short. I've accepted it. I mean, I'm not growing anytime soon. So it's happened. They started it like freshman year, so it's like grown.
Hey, you know what? I've gone through life as a not so tall person. It's not that bad.
No.
And then we should ask too a little bit. Well, first, before we get to what you're going to do next, I've got to ask about the Tacoma Dome.
Okay.
You've spent a few years there now. Your sophomore year, you won the state championship in basketball. What is that experience like?
I still don't know how to describe it. It wasn't overwhelming, but it was just, there was so many things happening at once, and I was happy and yet sad because our seniors were leaving, and like, what if this was the last time this could happen? It was so amazing. I don't know how to describe it.
And do you take that experience and talk to it with the volleyball team a little bit and tell them, is that kind of a motivator too in terms of, hey, this is why we want to get here because I've experienced it on the basketball court and this is how cool it is?
Yes, we do that all the time. They ask me how it feels to be out there playing in front of all these people, in front of like these ginormous lights that almost blind you. It's amazing, and I think they want it as much as I do in volleyball.
So we will see if they get there in volleyball this year. And then college coming up. You're both looking in that direction already a little bit. Sabrina, what are your thoughts for what you want to do in the future?
I haven't decided on what college I wanted to go to, but I might be going to a CC college and then transferring to a 2-year. But I want to major in a VMD, which is veterinarian, and I want to double major into marketing so that I could own my own business and be a vet at the same time.
Own your own veterinarian?
Yeah.
Okay, very nice. Clinic someday. And then what about you, Kaprice? What are you going to do at Northern Arizona? Do you know that?
I have to major in biology. I want to be a physical therapist, so I have to get that major and then apply for PT school. So I'm going to go down there and major in biology.
So a lot going on for both of these ladies, but right now they're also involved in a volleyball season. That's right, just getting up and rolling here. And again, congratulations on these the 3 matches you've won recently. I should also point out 2 home matches this week, and I failed to write them down. I think you've got Mount Lake Terrace at home on Monday, and then is it Edmonds Woodway on Wednesday?
Wednesday, yep.
So Monday and Wednesday of this week, 7 p.m., head on over to Lynnwood High School and watch them and their Royal teammates in action as they try to get wins number 4 and 5. Kaprice, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sabrina, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll see how the Royals do the rest of the season.
Well, it sounds like the Royals are on their way to a successful season.
They are indeed. And 2 big matches coming up this week again, Mount Lake Terrace and Edmonds Woodway at home. And good for those young ladies too, by the way, and their teammates to have that perspective and recognize that maybe they had the wrong mindset early on in the season, and to make that adjustment. They could definitely be in for a big season, so we'll continue to follow them.
Yeah, great. And we'll be back at the stadium for football on Friday night.
Yeah, another doubleheader this Friday, 5 p.m., Meadowdale versus Lynnwood. It's a Lynnwood football team that I think still has aspirations of maybe winning the division title. They're going to need to win this game after losing to Edmonds Woodway last week. And Meadowdale, they lost their first game of the year against Monroe. We weren't too sure what to make of them at that point, and since then they've won 4 in a row, and they're undefeated in Wesco 3A league play.
Yeah,
and
it
then,
should be a close game again.
yeah, I think we could have a good one there. And then 8 o'clock that night, Mount Lake Terrace homecoming. The Hawks will take on the Seagulls of Everett, and that will be right after the Meadowdale Lynnwood game. Both of those games can be watched on soundalivesportsnetwork.com. And for you Warriors fans out there, Edmonds Woodway, bad news, good news. Bad news is that they're going to be making a bit of a trip. They're going to Veterans Memorial Stadium in Snohomish to take on the Snohomish Panthers, Friday, 7 p.m. The good news is that we're not broadcasting it, but it is still being broadcasted online at stspn.com. So if you need to tune in and watch that game, go ahead and tune in over there and watch. If not, catch the other 2 games.
Great. And we'll have all the results of those games as well as other sports next week. So have a good week, everybody.